The safe harbor scheme was set up originally so that data transfers could occur between the EU and the US without companies worrying about whether or not they were having to prove every time that they were meeting the requirements of the EU data directives. And the safe harbor set up a process where companies could self-certify that they had privacy and security procedures in place that would adequately protect the data coming in from the EU. And with the safe harbor, I mean, it was almost like a certificate. For any data transfer, then companies had a certificate. The case arose because an individual who was a Facebook user in Austria was concerned after he heard the amount of data that the NSA had access to as a result of Edward Snowden. And because of that, the opinion states that the safe harbor isn't a safe harbor. It's not a get out of jail free card. It is merely invalid, and therefore residents of the EU can question whether companies have adequate protections for data that's coming into the US. There are several steps that a company could take to move toward compliance. First and foremost, of course, would always be to ensure that the data is as secure as it can be. If you have adequate safeguards and controls, it will go a long way. There are binding corporate rules that can be implemented, which would essentially demonstrate that you're serious about protecting the data and implementing those protections to the data. And there are model contract clauses that can be put into place. The concern with the opinion invalidating the safe harbor is that all of those other measures are not safe harbors, essentially. They are not what they used to be, and that anyone can question any company's use or protection of the data, regardless of what provisions they have in place. For that reason, some companies may want to just sit tight for a while. The Department of Commerce has issued a statement indicating that it is working with the EU. It will continue to work with the EU to develop a new safe harbor regime. That hopefully will be forthcoming pretty quickly. The Department of Commerce has continued to issue safe harbor certifications during this interim period, which I think indicates a strong message from the Department of Commerce that they think the safe harbor program will be up and functional in the near future.